Look closely at the natural world before you. It is silent. It is patient. It operates on a timeline that human anxiety cannot comprehend. A flower does not bloom to impress the flower next to it. It does not rush its growth because it fears falling behind the season. It simply exists, obeying the laws of compounding energy, rain, and soil. Yet, in our financial lives, we have forgotten this primal wisdom. We are the only species that hyperventilates about the future. We are the only species that builds grand structures of debt to impress strangers who are not looking at us. Today, we are going to deconstruct the psychology of wealth. We are not talking about the accumulation of paper currency, but the cultivation of independence. We are drawing from the mind of Morgan Housel, a man who has diagnosed the sickness of the modern economy not as a failure of intelligence, but as a failure of behavior. If you feel like you are falling behind, if you feel the gnawing anxiety of the cost of living, or if you simply want to understand why the finish line keeps moving, listen closely. This is not about how to get rich. It is about how to stay wealthy. The number one thing that keeps intelligent people broke is not a lack of IQ. It is not a lack of opportunity. It is ignorance of their own psychology. We live in an era where an ordinary person with patience can outperform a Harvard MBA with a high intellect but low impulse control. In the natural world, survival does not go to the loudest or the brightest, but to the most adaptable and the most patient. Consider the rain falling on these leaves. To a novice, the rain looks like chaos. It looks like a storm. But to the ecosystem, it is the cost of admission for growth. In the stock market and in your financial life, volatility is that rain. Most people want the green canopy of wealth, the visible success, the cars, the houses, the status, but they are terrified of the rain. They want the reward without the risk. They want the gold without the gravity. Morgan Housel teaches us that the person who demands a flat, predictable line of growth is like a gardener who demands eternal sunshine. It leads to a desert. If you can endure the volatility, if you can look at a 20% drop in your portfolio or a year of stagnation in your career with the same indifference as a tree weathering a storm, you have already won. You have paid the fee. The fee is uncertainty, and the reward is compounding. Compounding is the eighth wonder of the world, but it is boring. It is like watching a plant grow. You cannot see it happening in real time. If you stare at a fern for 24 hours, you will see nothing. But if you walk away and come back in 20 years, you will see a forest. Warren Buffett, the greatest investor of our time, accumulated 99% of his net worth after his 60th birthday. His secret was not that he was a genius stock picker. His secret was that he survived. He did not quit. He did not panic when the rain came. He sat still. But why is sitting still so hard for us? Why do we feel the need to constantly prune, replant, and disturb our own roots? It is because of the disease of comparison. Look at the density of this garden. Each leaf fights for sunlight. In the human world, we fight for status. We use money not as a tool for utility, but as a yardstick to measure ourselves against our neighbors. This is the trap. Morgan describes his time as a valet in Los Angeles, parking Ferraris and Lamborghinis. He realized a profound truth that shatters the illusion of materialism. When you see a Ferrari driving down the street, you do not think about the driver. You do not think the driver is cool. You imagine yourself as the driver. You imagine people looking at you. This is the irony of wealth. We spend money we do not have to buy things we do not need, to impress people who do not care because they are too busy worrying about what we think of them. It is a hall of mirrors. It is a game where the goalpost is attached to a moving train. If your definition of success is having more than the person next to you, you will never be free, because there is always another person. There is always a nicer car. There is always a bigger house. This brings us to the critical distinction between being rich and being wealthy. These are not synonyms. They are opposites. Being rich is visible. It is the peacock spreading its feathers. It is the current income, the flashy car, the expensive clothes. Rich is what you spend. But wealth is invisible. Wealth is the money you did not spend. It is the car you did not buy. It is the option to walk away from a job you hate. It is the ability to wake up in the morning and say, I can do whatever I want today. Think of the soil beneath this greenery. You cannot see the nutrients. You cannot see the root systems that hold the earth together. That is wealth. It is hidden. It is the unspent potential that guarantees your survival when winter comes. And winter always comes. We have a generation that feels they are falling behind, and this feeling is valid. The cost of housing, the cost of existence, it is heavy. But we must distinguish between the economic reality and the psychological expectation. Happiness, as Morgan Housel defines it, is simply the gap between reality and expectations. If your reality is here and your expectations are way up there, you are miserable. You have two choices. You can try to force your reality to rise, which is hard and often out of your control, or you can lower your expectations to match your reality. This is not about giving up. This is not about settling for mediocrity. It is about understanding that the dopamine hit of a new purchase fades in days, but the stress of the debt lasts for years. Every dollar of debt you carry is a piece of your future that somebody else owns. Every dollar of savings you build is a piece of your future that you have reclaimed. When you view savings not as a sacrifice, but as the purchase of freedom, the equation changes. You are not depriving yourself of a new shirt. You are buying a good night's sleep. You are buying the ability to look your boss in the eye and speak the truth, because you are not terrified of losing your paycheck for 1 week. That is the definition of independence. The Vanderbilt family was once the richest family the world had ever seen. They had everything: palaces, ships, railroads, but they had no independence. They were slaves to their own status. They were required to live large, to spend lavishly, to uphold an image, and within a few generations, the money was gone. The heirs were miserable. They were rich, but they were not free. Contrast that with the quiet independence of someone who lives below their means, who invests in boring index funds, who checks their ego at the door. So how do we break the cycle? How do we stop being the weed that chokes on its own growth? It starts with a simple shift in behavior. Ignorance is the enemy. Then you must automate your discipline. We are flawed creatures. We have weak willpower. If you rely on your own discipline to save money, you will fail. You must build a system that saves for you. You must make savings an expense, just like rent, just like food. You pay yourself first because you are the most important creditor in your life. You are the owner of your future. And finally, you must embrace the concept of enough. There is a story of a family whose house burned down. They lost everything material. And amidst the ashes, the mother gathered her children and said, "We have everything we need right here." The people standing in this circle? That is enough. Stephen Hawking, a man trapped in a broken body, a man who had every right to be bitter, said that his expectations were reduced to 0 when he was 21 years old. Everything since then was a bonus. If you can adopt that mindset, that merely being alive, breathing this air, walking through this green earth is the baseline, then everything else becomes a gift. Desiring less is a financial strategy. It is more powerful than earning more. If you earn $1 million but you need $1 million to be happy, you are broke. If you earn $50,000 but you only need $40,000 to be content, you are wealthy. You are free. The world will tell you to run faster. The algorithm will show you people who seem happier, richer, and more beautiful. But remember the lesson of the driver. They are posturing. They are just as anxious as you are. Do not play their game. Step off the treadmill. Look at the garden. It grows at its own pace. It endures the rain. It stores its energy in the roots where no one can see it. Be like the garden. Be patient. Be boring. Be wealthy. Because at the end of the day, the only metric that matters is not the number in your bank account, but the amount of time that belongs solely to you.